to operate and deliver essential services and products. Now, recently we hosted a webinar on this topic. It was a very informative event, so I decided to ask a few of the speakers to come back and give us a quick refresher on what we said back then. So I'm joined by three special guests today. I have Tareq Falah, the VP of IT from Creative Foam. I have Todd Weeks, Plex's Head of Cloud Operations. And I have Kathy Pitt, Plex's recently hired Chief Security Officer. So let's start with Tareq. Tareq, tell us a bit about Creative Foam.
Yeah, thanks, Richard, and everybody else tuning in. Appreciate everybody coming in. I think this, unprecedented situation is taking its toll on everyone, and I want to reflect on the fact that we're all coming together for this conference, and we'll be there to support everyone. Creative Foam is a manufacturer. We specialize in foams, nonwovens, and adhesives that are engineered to meet the specific needs of our customers across transportation, healthcare, and composites divisions. Our engineers make different kinds of products that help make quieter, stronger, lighter products to meet the needs of our customers. In our healthcare divisions, we're working on things that you might see recently with the PPE and with antimicrobial surfaces that we're able to help out, especially with this COVID response that's going on. And lastly, we're celebrating our 50th year, which is a really big milestone for us. Of course, it's great to see that as a number. And also what's even more important is seeing the individuals that we still have on this team today that have been there for 30, 35 years of that journey.
Wow, thank you, Tareq. 50 years, wow. I'm not sure what that means in terms of anniversary. I think 25 silver, I'm not sure what 50 is, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. But during this disruptive period, Creative Foam, you've stayed productive, but you've also pivoted your business to make protective gear for the medical industry. Can you talk about that journey?
Sure, yeah. We've been able to shift gears a little bit, is what we've kind of coined the term is, no one had a crystal ball. No one could have predicted anything, not when, not who, not how. And throughout all of this, Creative Foam has been able to rely on being agile, being responsive, and paying attention to what the most critical question is for our manufacturing companies, which is, what else can we do to help? And it's interesting because so often we're focused on, what can we do to win business? So it's a bit of a paradigm shift to say, well, how can I add value to another organization? How can I improve their processes? And most importantly, how can I affect positively the communities that we work in, or the greater population that we're working to help? And so COVID has really given us opportunity to respond to the needs of those customers. We've begun by working on PPE. We immediately started working on sourcing materials, working on designs, and iterating on those designs to help out the most important resource that we have throughout our nation in this, which is the frontline healthcare workers. And so we've been producing those face shields and delivering those across the United States. And I'm proud that our organization has been able to turn our attention really to what is critical to support those customers, and less about how can we really win business and what is it that we're worrying about at this time.
That's a great story. I'm sorry, I have to ask the question. And how has Plex helped you during that journey?
Sure. I think it's something, it's interesting you ask it, because I think in times like this, we've been thinking about all kinds of other things. How do we get laptops to our people? How do we communicate with our suppliers, with our customers, phone systems, all these kinds of things? And what's been interesting is that we haven't had to worry about Plex. We haven't had to worry about our ERP. And I think that speaks volumes. The fact that we actually haven't had to worry about it at all tells us that we were positioned very well from our infrastructure and ERP perspective, that we've just kept on keeping on. The use of Plex has really given us peace of mind that the core business process that we rely on every single day, they're just going to work. The configurations, the infrastructure that we spent all that time on is still there. I've spent a lot of time looking through our help desk ticketing systems and looking at all the things that we have out there. And it's just interesting to see that a lot of the tickets that we've worked on, as far as information systems go, are not about how do we still communicate, how do we work. It's more about, well, what else can we do? How else do we iterate? How else do we improve our Plex experience? Which, to be in a situation like we're in today, which is such a devastating one, and yet we're still looking at how do we make this whole thing better and not worry about can we even be running. It's actually a pretty phenomenal thing to be a part of. That's
tremendous. I'm sure as well that many of our customers are in the same situation that you're in. It's unfair to single people out, but it's a great story. I'm sure there are more that we can hear from our other customers over the course of the conference. Let's switch gears over to Todd, our head of cloud operations. And Todd, have you made any adjustments to ensure that Plex is able to sustain our best-in-class service for our customers?
Well, actually, very little, and it's really nice to hear Tareq say what he said. It's like we've we've continued to focus on really providing the best-in-class availability, reliability, scalability, and security to our customers. We know they take it very seriously, and we take it very seriously. We know how important it is to deliver on that because our customers can focus on just running their core business. And for availability, we know that we provided an average of 99.996 of uptime over the last 4 years. And even given the new work situation, we're totally prepared to continue to deliver on what that service level is. And really other areas of the business with reliability, scalability, our services are designed, our data centers, our cloud operations, to handle a really wide variety of business continuity scenarios. And with the recent move to our Denver data center, all 3 of our production facilities were already running in a lights out remote way, which meant that all of a sudden needing to work from home wasn't a large shift for the group. So that was another area that was really good to see and to test out. But one of the biggest adjustments that we've had to make is ensuring that we just have the right level of communication. We were very used to just walking down the hall and finding someone and talking to them and really figuring out how can we do that effectively. But with all the modern video conferencing that's available to us, we've handled that transition really well too. And probably like many other companies, we've discovered an unexpected upside of working from home is that we've gotten to know each other's families, each other's kids, and each other's pets a lot better. And a good example of that is everybody knows when Richard has something getting delivered to his house because his dogs go totally berserk whenever that happens. So, and then lastly, with respect to security, undoubtedly one of the most important things we have. We've also made sure to continue our focus and provide best-in-class security there. And Kathy has a great update on what we've been doing in that.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. So I grabbed a screen capture of our external security rating that I got off of securityscorecard.com. And I think it's a really strong indicator that we've never lost sight of how critical a strong security program really is to business continuity and data protection. And looking at the lower left, I think it also shows that our security posture is very strong compared to some other companies in our industry. And so I know some of you were thinking, it's like, okay, so yay, Plex has a A security rating, but what does it take to get to 100? And I can tell you that we're very aggressively burning down old TLS, so TLS 1.0 and 1.1, which right now is really the big elephant in the security room for a lot of service providers, waiting on customers to upgrade to TLS 1.2. And so we did a presentation on Wednesday around TLS 1.0 and Plex's plan to deprecate that. If you didn't have a chance to join, I think it's going to be replayed again on Friday, and you can listen into that. We provide a lot of insight as to how you can easily upgrade. And with that, I'll pass the virtual mic back to Richard.
Thank you, Kathy. Great A grade, by the way. I love the A grade. When I first met Kathy, it was in the airport in Salt Lake City last year. It was the interview process, very unusual interview process. We ended it in the airport, but I remember when I met Kathy, she gave me our security grade. I wasn't even aware we had one, and suffice to say, it was good, but not as good as it is today. So when we hired Kathy, we said, Kathy, make it better, make us the best. I think you can go and see how we compare to other companies as well. I think it's out there publicly, and we score really, really well. Anyway, let's switch back to Tareq. One last question for Tareq. So, big one, but what do you think is going to change? And what will things look like after COVID-19?
Sure. I think that's the important question everyone's trying to answer right now, not just manufacturers, but the entire world. And I think for us and many others, this has forced everybody's hand into moving to the cloud. I think a lot of times before the question was, should I go to the cloud? What goes to the cloud? When does it go to the cloud? And I think so much of that has fallen to the wayside. And the answer is simply, we need to get to the cloud. We need to accelerate that as quickly as possible. And the question is, why haven't we already gone there, and what's preventing us? And if there may be some barriers that could be technical in nature, but a lot of it is really just a paradigm shift in changing how you think about your business processes. It's not about adapting your, the cloud to fit your processes. It's about reinventing yourself and figuring out how can I do business differently. And sometimes that simply involves a catalyst like this, such as COVID-19, to be able to push us a little bit harder to say, okay, we're going to look at what are the business processes that we have today, and how do we adjust them to make sure that that is really possible and sustainable? And using the most important part of this is getting to secure platforms like Plex that are able to really be a turnkey solution where you can go in. You don't have to worry about how am I going to really construct this infrastructure. We can just get off on our feet and running. And so I think everyone soon is going to start looking at how do we collaborate with our customers? How do we collaborate internally? How do we do that quickly and effectively? And really it's going to center around cloud. And so looking at how can we do that safely? How can we do that quickly without having to invest in more infrastructure, more heads, and all of that is really going to be the question that all customers are going to have to answer very soon.
That's a fantastic answer, Tareq. Of course, I'm maybe a little self-serving there, but it's look, if you're going to go to the cloud, find a cloud that's highly available and highly secure. I think
absolutely.
And by the way, I think as well the agility that you guys have shown as well to pivot your business towards PPE, that's awesome agility. Hopefully we've helped you with that pivot, and we'll keep that going together. So thank you, Tareq, and again thank you, Todd. Thank you, Kathy, and that's it.